Pokémon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire released worldwide in November 2014 as a remake to the original Pokémon Ruby and Sapphire games on the Game Boy Advance that released over a decade prior. Not only did this do a good job of bringing the Hoenn experience to a more modern era, but it also built upon the new mechanics brought along in Pokémon X and Y, most notably Mega Evolutions, and was more like a reimagining of the Hoenn experience rather than a one-to-one remake. Except they didn't bring back the Battle Frontier from Pokémon Emerald and just teased us by saying it was under construction, which is unforgivable, Nintendo. One thing they did bring back from the original games though was the official strategy guide, as you can see here. Now if you're new here, hey, I'm PaPaSea and you should totally click that like button and subscribe since, yup, look at those analytics. But every so often we like to take a look at these official strategy guides and try to follow them as closely as possible in order to beat the game while trying to ignore my prior knowledge of this game as much as I can. This has had mixed results, but this guide is pretty thick with a capital TH, so let's see what's in store for us. Taking a look at the back of the guide, it says it will take us through to the Pokemon League and also says it has a list of TMs, HMs, items, Megastones, and most importantly, berries, which is a must-have since berries are a huge part of the Hoenn region. The start of this guide is a bit different as the first thing it shows in the guide is an interview with Junichi Masuda and Shigeru Omori. Some highlights here include how they started planning Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire as early as November 2012 before X and Y were even revealed, and how much they enjoyed reimagining Ruby and Sapphire on the 3DS. The guide then shows some concept art for the trainers and specifically shows the bottom of Brawly's foot for some reason, and Archie making a very creepy face. Following the interview, we have a map of the region, then a general introduction to Pokemon and some story and lore about the game. This goes on for about 20 pages and even shows some more advanced tips like how to switch train your Pokemon and how to prevent Pokemon from evolving so they can gain more EXP or learn a move that their evolution doesn't learn. I'm sure most of you guys know the basics of Pokemon, so there's really no need to go over the rest of these since we've gone over so many of these guides so far. But on page 26, our journey begins. So let's load up a brand new copy of Pokemon Omega Ruby and hammer away at it to beat it exactly as Nintended. Starting off, I picked the girl character this time since people seem to love May, name ourselves C, and I know everybody makes a joke about being a kid thrown in the back of the truck here, but nobody ever mentions how we're playing what looks like a Game Boy as well as a copy of Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire while we are in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which is a remake of Ruby and Sapphire, which is really confusing. Anyway, I head upstairs in our new house to see the gift that our dad got us, and it's a wall clock, what every girl wants. Then go north and oh no, Professor Birch is in danger. This is our chance to pick our starter Pokemon, and the guide tells us a bit about them here. It says each Pokemon has its own strengths and weaknesses, but their weaknesses can be covered by other Pokemon you catch later on, so choose your favorite. For Trico, it says Trico has the best speed of the three Pokemon. It can easily beat the first gym leader, Roxanne, because it's strong against rock types. It learns some great moves as it levels up, ends from TMs and move tutors, including the move that can drain HP from its opponents like Absorb and Mega Drain. Trico evolves into Grovyle level 16, which evolves into Sceptile at 36. For Torchic, it says Torchic has well-balanced stats. Since the fire type is weak against the rock type, it may struggle against the first gym unless it's evolved to Combuskin. Torchic evolves to Combuskin at 16, then Blaziken at 36, both of which are fire and fighting type Pokemon. For Mudkip, it says Mudkip has the highest attack stat among the three Pokemon. Overall, it's a great Pokemon for gym battles. Mudkip evolves into Marshtomp at level 16, and then into Swampert at level 36, both of which are water and ground types. The ground type cancels out water's weaknesses against the electric type, which only leaves grass as a weakness. I decided to go with Mudkip because from this description, the guide made it seem like Mudkip is the best, and also because I don't think the internet would forgive me if I didn't pick Mudkip. And also look at it, it's Mudkip. Here the guide then explains how to battle here and reminds me a bit of the Pokemon Sun and Moon guide we looked at previously, where it brings up the important information as we would need it, rather than just shoving everything at the start of the guide and hoping we read everything. And then I make it up to Oldale Town. Here we score 10 free potions from the Pokemart clerk, what luck, and check out the Pokemon Center. The guide notes to check out the bookshelves here and to read the most recent issue of AHA! Pokemon Journal, which are just basic trainer tips. I didn't even know these existed until this guide said it. We can't head west or Route 102 just yet, so we continue north where we see our rival and have our very first rival battle. For this fight, the guide says to use our normal type moves, in this case tackle, since water type moves wouldn't do much to a grass type. Next to this battle, there is a trainer tip that says, wondering about those fishing rods? And yes, guide, I was wondering about those fishing rods, because that's the first thing I think about whenever I see a body of water. It then explains how to fish and how we can fish to catch more Pokemon in this game, but we unfortunately can't get a fishing rod just yet. After that, we return to Little Root Town, score 10 free Pokeballs, and the guide really likes to use that word score whenever we get anything new, and then we learn how to catch Pokemon. We can go to Route 102 now since this man moved out of the way. The guide says how the footsteps he was researching here were really just his own footsteps. What a goof. On this route, we have a couple of more trainer battles, and I get to pick more berries, my favorite. On the next page, the guide notes how routes can be caught here, and this is a good chance to catch one, so I spend like 20 minutes walking around the grass to find one, which I named Seto. The guide then takes this opportunity to explain how teleport works, as well as other useful field moves, and where to get them. This leads us into Petalburg City, and compared to the other hamlets we've been to, Petalburg is a bustling place filled with people and activity. There's like 4 people outside, 1 gym, and 3 houses in this bustling city. And the gym leader, which happens to be our father. We thank him for the clock that he gave us, then he tasks us with helping Wally to show him how to catch a Pokemon, and of course he gets a routes on his very first try. The guide also says check out the bookshelves in this Pokemon Center too to see that new issue of Pokemon Aha. The next page has a few more catching tips, explains the play nav, then tells us to go to Route 104 and check out the beach. By the beach, we meet Mr. Briny and his Wingull that the guide says is fast, although Wingull isn't really that fast of a Pokemon. Then we help this boy by giving him a spare potion, get some more berries, and make it to the Petalburg Woods. Here we see a nasty Team Magma grunt here that we dispatch and get this EXP share as a reward. On the other side of the forest, we get the Echoed Voice TM, visit the Pretty Petal Flower Shop to get some more berries and this Whalmer Pail, then make it into Rustboro City. Here we get some items like the Cut HM and the Quick Claw Held item, learn a bit more about held items in general, then prepare for our very first gym battle against Roxanne and her rock-type foes. The guide says to bring lots of potions, which we do, and also suggests that we trade for a Makuhita to type trump her team with fighting type moves. However, it also suggests that we use water type moves, so I just stick to using our starter Mudkip for this gym. The guide says we should smash her fast, and thanks to Mudkip, we smash her in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail to collect our very first gym badge. As we exit the gym, we see a Team Magma grunt again that stole from the same researcher we saved in the forest. Some bad luck there, buddy. And have to go help him in this dire situation, but first, how about we cut some trees, if we please, now that we have the badge according to the guide. This takes us into the Rust Turf Tunnel eventually, where we meet Mr. Briny yet again, and he tells us how that same grunt stole his Wingull that he named Pico, and we have to go save it. We lay waste to that grunt, Mudkip evolves, and the guide notes how Hoenn has so much water. I haven't heard that before. So being friends with Mr. Briny will help us because he has a boat. We then deliver these stolen goods back to the Devon Corp, and as a thank you, they task us with taking this letter to Steven on Dewford City, but they don't provide us with transportation, so thankfully we're friends with Mr. Briny who offers to take us there. On the same page here, the guide tells us a bit about shiny Pokemon, and how there's a tiny chance we'll encounter a Pokemon with unusual colors. This takes us to Dewford City, the city with gym leader Brawly, who keeps in shape by flexing his muscles. The coolest thing we can do here is finally get an old rod and learn how to fish. Then I catch a Zubat tail for Brawly's gym as the guide suggested. The guide also said to buy water from the vending machine in front of his gym, which I didn't know you can do. It then for some reason really wants us to use Beautyfly here and mentions it so many times because it'll have a strong advantage against fighting type Pokemon. But it didn't tell us to catch a Wurmple at all up until this point, and if I backtrack now to get one, it'll take so long to level up to this point. It did tell us to catch a Routes though, which is also good against this gym, but doesn't suggest we use Routes in this gym, and doesn't even mention how Psychic types or Fairy types are good against this gym unless you look at the weaknesses to Brawly's 2 Pokemon. I just catch a Zubat in the nearby cave as the guide also recommended, and use Flying type moves to blow away Brawly as he has no chance but to admit defeat and give us the second gym badge as Nintended. Before leaving Dewford, the guide says to pick up the Sludge Bomb TM from this person in the Dewford Hall. This person just wasn't there for me though, so I don't know what I was doing wrong. So next I go to the Granite Cave to meet Steven and get the Flash TM. The guide then says to talk to Mr. Briny on Dewford's Jetty, a word I haven't heard before, but apparently it just means dock essentially. So we can head towards Slateport City and deliver more stuff for Mr. Stone. This takes us to Route 109 just south of Slateport, where there are trainers who aren't just there to work on their tans. We get our soda pops from the Seashore House, of course, and now this is a city. Slateport City has a lot for us to do, like find our first Megastone, the Alakazite, in the market, deliver these ship parts to Doc, Captain Stern's assistant. I had no idea his name was Doc. He even has a full Wikipedia page on him for some reason. Who's looking this up besides me, I guess? We then get tormented by listening to this guy's story about how he lost a contest and then coincidentally get the Torment TM as a reward. And of course, check out the harbor just to go to the vending machine. This seems to be a theme with the guide where it points out a lot of vending machines. Now we can go to the museum to meet Captain Stern, and this guide screenshots for both Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. There's only minor differences between the two in this situation especially, as it's just the Team Aqua Grunts being replaced by Team Magma Grunts and vice versa. And I thought they did this because each of the grunts have different Pokemon on their team, but no, it just doesn't showcase their teams at all. We then meet Maxie, or Archie if you're playing Alpha Sapphire. And the guide explains Archie's plans about how he thinks mankind is destroying the world by overdeveloping and building too much, and he wants to raise the sea levels to wash it all away and give it back to nature. And Maxie wants to do the opposite and develop more land and get rid of water so he can build more and develop more. Both of these are equally as stupid, and as unsettling as that was, we can forget about it for now by entering a quick contest after meeting Licia, the contest master. The guide takes a lot of time explaining the contest mechanics, so I enter the cool contest with Fangs the Zubat and win, and then head north to Route 110, and although we can't go through the cycling road yet since we don't have a bicycle, the guide does mention the vending machine at the gate that we can still access before it. There isn't anything too interesting on this route between here and Mauville City aside from the rival fight, getting the dowsing machine, and this Gulpin that I found and named Oswald. Now, do you want to shop till you drop? Well, you've come to the right place. Mauville City is a huge mall, and then the guide says how on the second floor of Mauville, it is only accessible to the tenants of Mauville Hills, and how the U-turn TM can be found there, but we can't go there yet. Kind of a weird thing to open up in the section about Mauville City. But there are tons of shops here, another Wally encounter, and surprisingly, no mentions of a vending machine even though we're in a mall. The guide then takes a lot of pages detailing all of these small extra places you can visit in Mauville, like the restaurants and the bike shop of course, then wants us to challenge the gym leader. The gym battle has one of the weirdest explanations for any gym battle I have seen in any guide so far, and we've looked at quite a lot in the past. It says to bring cherry berries or paralyzed heals, and to teach the TM Bulldoze to one of our Pokemon, which we can conveniently find at the Pokemart in this town, both of which make a lot of sense. Then it suggests we use a ground-type Pokemon. This is all fine, but do you know what ground-type Pokemon it suggests first? Place your guesses. Marshtomp makes sense since if you started with Mudkip you would have one by now, or even Geodude since you can find them pretty commonly in the Granite Cave. But no, it suggests Nincada. Nincada is a pretty rare Pokemon north of Rustboro City that is weak and evolves into a flying type Pokemon at level 20, while Watson's Pokemon are level 19 to 21, so even if you do have an Nincada on your team, there's a good chance it would have evolved by now. The guy then goes on to suggest some better options like Makuhita with Bulldoze, and I was just so caught off guard by the Nincada suggestion since I would have never expected it to suggest that Pokemon for this gym, and the fact that it just didn't mention Marshtomp. Either way, we hammer away with a few Bulldozes and defeat Watson in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail to get our 3rd gym badge in the Hoenn region. The guide shows a few more things we can do in Mauville City, like visit Hipster, who gives us a new O-Power. I don't think I've ever seen a hipster look quite like how this guy looks, but up north we encounter Team Magma, then the guide details Route 117 and Verdanturf Town. It lists them both as optional, so I just continue across to Route 111 and challenge the Winstraight family. Zubat evolves here into Golbat, and I think Routes also evolved here, if not it evolved earlier or later, I can't remember. And the guide recommended Psychic type moves for some of the Winstraight's Pokemon. It really went in depth for them for some reason, and then recommends that we build an unstoppable team. There's many ways to build very strong, seemingly unstoppable teams in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, but the first Pokemon it suggests was Beautifly. Onwards to Route 112 now, where we see more berry trees, get the Strength HM, and go through the fiery path. Here we learn about secret bases, rest up, and use our Mach Bike to get this elixir item, since the guide said it's worth the effort getting since we have to use our Mach Bike to go up this falling sand. We then harvest more berries and head into Route 113's ashy grass. And as a tip here to catch a couple of Spindas because they will come in handy later, apparently. I'm not really sure how they will come in handy later, but I catch 2 anyway and make it to the township of Fall Arbor. Here we meet Lynette, whose PC we've just been using without her permission. I hope she doesn't have any confidential information on it. Securing your personal information on your devices is very important, and this would be a very cool place to put some sort of ad relating to that, but I don't have one, so just make sure to like the video and subscribe since that helps the channel a ton. Onwards to Route 114 now, which is pockmarked by fallen meteors. It doesn't seem like a very safe place to be if meteors keep hitting this area, but it does lead us into the appropriately named Meteor Falls after harvesting more berries along the way. I guess the guide gave us a break from checking out every single vending machine and now wants us to check out every single berry patch. There's some more Team Aqua and Team Magma stuff going on here with Professor Cosmo, as well as some meteorites. So we battle Team Magma admin Tabitha to save Cosmo, then get warped back to Mauville City. This allows us to get back to Mount Chimney a bit easier, which is 5,000 feet in the air. This sounds pretty high, and then I googled it out of curiosity and found out that Colorado is just stupidly high in the air, and there's some cities in Colorado that have an elevation of 8,000 or more, which I didn't know. We have a second battle against Tabitha here and use our Psychic-type Pokemon Kirlia as the guide suggests. The reason for this is because he now has a Coughing, which he mysteriously didn't have when we battled him like 15 minutes ago. Next up is Team Magma leader Maxie, so we show this worthy foe just how strong of a trainer we've become and lay waste to his team. To the south, we have the Jagged Pass, and the guide recommends the Acro Bike to traverse it. I tried to go back to Mauville City to switch our bike since we have the Mach Bike right now, but this lady keeps stopping me and healing my Pokemon and doesn't let me go through, so I can't, and the only other way to get to Mauville City from here is to go through the Jagged Pass. I go through here, but we can't get every item and make it to a popular spot in the Hoenn region thanks to its hot springs said to cure any ailment, Laveridge Town. The first thing we do here is buy some Moo Moo Milks because the guide says how they're more cost effective than super potions. We lay claim to an egg that will eventually hatch into something, get the charcoal item, and prepare to fight Flannery, the new gym leader of this township. The guide suggests burn heals for her fire type Pokemon, so I pick some up, and also recommends we fill up our team with water type Pokemon, and that we use the old rod to fish some up. We have Marshtomp, but I fish for a Magikarp too just to add another water type to the team. This steamy gym is a nice place to relax and unwind, but we're here for the gym badge only. While battling the junior trainers, Fangs the Golbat also evolved into Crobat. I really haven't used it that much lately, but let's face it, it wouldn't be one of my playthroughs if I didn't have a Crobat named Fangs. The guide then suggests water moves against Flannery to hit all of her Pokemon super effective, and also recommends Makuhita again since he can learn Bulldoze, a ground type move which is also pretty good here. Since we have Marshtomp, this gym goes by in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, and when we exit, Brendan gives us the Go Goggles so we can pick up the fossil, in our case the root fossil, because I know somebody's gonna ask me. There's a few small things to explore here, but the main objective now is to battle Norman, the 5th gym leader who happens to be our dad back in Petalburg City. The guide suggests potions, and you guessed it, fighting type Pokemon like Makuhita for his normal type Pokemon, but it also suggests Machop, which is found on Route 112, so I go back to get one. It levels up a bit against the plethora of gym trainers in Norman's gym, then just gets one-shotted by Norman's first Slaking. The guide also made no mention of the truant ability his Slakings have, which caused Slaking to loaf around every other turn to give us an opening. This can be easily taken advantage of in quite a few ways, most notably with the move Protect, but I just spam Rock Smash since the guide suggests we use fighting type moves, and specifically mentioned Rock Smash because you should have it by now, to hit his Pokemon for super effective damage every turn, giving us our 5th gym badge and allowing our Marshtomp to evolve into Swampert. This is great timing, since as we exit the gym, we also see Wally's dad who gives us the Surf HM. The guide then explains surfing and how surfing on a Sharpedo is faster, then has us get another O-Power at the Pokemon Center in Mauville City. It also shows a few stops we can backtrack to use Surf to access some things we previously couldn't, like this item in Petalburg City. This is all optional, but it includes some cool places like the water routes around Dewford and the Sea Mauville. There really isn't much to do in the Sea Mauville without the Dive HM, but there are some cool things you can do here in the post-game. It then says we should swap for the Acro Bike again, so I do that because there's some spots on the upcoming route that can be only accessed if you have the Acro Bike. On this route, we get good with a good rod. Can't believe the guide actually told me to get good. See Gabby and Ty again to interview us, and then meet up with Steven. A Latios then appears out of nowhere and takes us over to the southern island so we can fight against Team Magma. They're here to catch the rare Pokemon and steal some Mega Stones, but with the help of Steven we end up defeating them. The Latios that was here then decides to join our team, and we also get the Mega Bracelet and the Latios site so we can Mega Evolve Latios if we want to now. This is a very powerful Mega Pokemon, so I add it to the team, then learn a bit more about Mega Evolution in the guide. As we continue through Route 119, we come up to the Weather Institute. There's a vending machine in here which the guide of course points out and tells us to buy some items from it, and we get lucky to get 3 lemonades for the price of 1. Upstairs, we have to fight Tabitha again and one-shot his Camerupt with our Swampert, and as a reward, this scientist that was held hostage gives us a cast form. I add it to the team since we have open slots and name it Hail Yeah of course. Then downstairs we get some weather rocks to extend turns for our weather moves, if we really want to give them to cast form. And they also give us the Rocky Helmet, which doesn't really fit with the rock theme other than the fact it has rock in the name, but it's still a pretty good item. Before we make it into Fortree though, we have another rival fight against Brendan. Beating him allows us to get the HM for Fly. The guide does show the rival's Pokemon team, but doesn't really give us a strategy on how to beat them, other than telling us what types their Pokemon are weak to. For Fortree City, it says the people and the Pokemon of this city follow nature's cues to rise each morning and each day. The people here really like to climb trees and build their houses in trees. And it's not really explained why, but it is kinda cool. In Fortree City, we can get better items from the shop like Ultra Balls, see our secret base friend who of course lives here, get the Hidden Power TM, and finally have a use for those Spindo we caught earlier by trading one of them to this NPC for a Skitty. After that, we meet Steven, who gives us the Devon Scope so we can see these hidden Keklands that are blocking some areas, like the entrance to the next gym. Here the guide recommends HP restoring items as it does for every gym leader, but this time it specifically mentions Moo Moo Milks as opposed to regular potions, which we could have bought quite a while ago before we even fought Flannery for the 4th gym badge. I thought it was kind of weird how it specifically recommends them for the 6th gym and not the past 2 gyms we had access to them, but I still have some of them on us, so I end up using them. It then suggests electric type Pokemon to hit her flying type Pokemon super effective, like Electric and Minun. I don't know why it didn't mention the cosplay Pikachu we were given earlier, or why it only mentions Minun and not its counterpart Plusle, but the cosplay Pikachu I have on the team recently learned Discharge, and since it's an electric type Pokemon, I use it for the gym. The gym puzzle in this game is slightly different from the original Ruby and Sapphire games, and the battle explanation for Winona's gym just says to use electric moves or rock moves, and to watch out for her Altaria since it's neutral to electric thanks to its dragon typing. This gym can be pretty hard depending on how your team matches up, but Pikachu made this pretty easy for us, allowing us to get the 6th gym badge in the Hoenn region. Since we got another badge, the guide says to backtrack to Mauville City to get another O power, then cross Route 121. This route links up a lot of the Hoenn region, and on the way we catch sight of Team Magma. Magma? Magma. Why'd I say it like that? They spoil their plans of heading to Mount Pyre, but first we have to check out the Safari Zone. Well, we don't have to because the guide does say it's optional, but I decided to check it out anyway since I skipped quite a few optional events recently. The guide has a full map of the area detailing all of the Pokemon we can catch, and the special areas we can access with each bike. It's also free to enter in this game, and you use your own Pokeballs instead of Safari Zones like in the original games. I just caught a Doduo and then make it into Lilycove City. There's a few small tasks we can do here, but the first big task we have is to take on our rival. The guide says how they now have 4 Pokemon and will really have our hands full this time, but I have a Mega Latios on the team now, so anything is possible. After that, we check out the department store, visit the museum, and then track down Team Magma in Mount Pyre. Mount Pyre is the mountain where the spirits of Pokemon have rested and will always rest. Past, present, and future. It's a rather ominous way to put it. I mean, it is a gravesite, so it's ominous in itself. But at the top, we encountered Team Magma trying to steal the special orb, but we're a bit too late. We're given the other orb anyway, then have to track down Team Magma. Team Magma stole the blue orb in order to wake up the red Pokemon, leaving us with the red orb. I wonder if that's a mistake or not, but the guide has separate sections for the Team Magma and Team Aqua base in Lilycove City, which is our next destination, even though they're the exact same, just have minor differences with their aesthetics. The guide has a map to get through here leading into the Master Ball item, a horde of Magma grunts, and finally, Magma admin Courtney. We defeat her, but then Team Magma escapes, so we sort of just forget about Team Magma for now and just focus on getting the next gym badge in the next town, being Mossdeep City. Here we get the Quash TM in the mart, grab a nest ball, and prepare for the gym battle against Tate and Liza. Or should I say, Liza and Tate. They're usually referred to as Tate and Liza, so saying it backwards felt off, but that's how the guide wrote it. The guide suggests healing items, of course, then Dark-type Pokemon if you've caught any Dark-type Pokemon, as well as any Ghost-type Pokemon if you caught any at Mount Pyre, saying you'll have a big advantage if you did. I caught a Shuppet at Mount Pyre, so that should help out a bit. The guide suggests physical moves for Tate and Liza's Psychic-type foes, and also to focus on one of their Pokemon since this is a double battle gym battle, and they have no backup Pokemon, just their 2 lead Pokemon. I led with Shuppet and Gardevoir, which has Shadow Ball, and just focus on knocking out the Luditone first for a quick and easy victory, giving us the 7th gym badge. As we leave the gym, we witness the opening of the seafloor cavern. Steven then spots us and gives us the Dive HM so we can investigate what happened and why it opened deep in the ocean. The guide then explains how diving works, then shows some more optional sea routes since they have dive points we can now access. This also includes the Shoal Cave, but I continue sailing across Route 127 into Route 128 and dive underwater to find the seafloor cavern. It is said that a Pokemon once dwelled here in the ancient mists of long ago. I'm sure nothing could go wrong with disturbing it, and I'm sure Team Magma having a base over here isn't a problem at all. There's a few Team Magma fights down here, and the guide shows us how to get through it. We eventually locate the stolen submarine and find Maxie in front of a giant pool of lava. He plans on using the blue orb to summon the super ancient Pokemon Groudon, and yeah, the guide keeps calling it the super ancient Pokemon, which makes it just sound that much cooler. Maxie has a Mega Camerupt in this fight, a pretty cool Mega Pokemon in my opinion, but we have a water-type Pokemon in our starter Swampert, as the guide also suggested, and we go for Surf to hit it for 400% damage. After defeating Maxie, he summons Groudon anyway, but it gets really mad and messes up the weather in all of the Hoenn region. When we return to the surface, we meet Steven again, who tells us about Groudon's power, and that it went all the way into the Cave of Origin in Sootopolis City, which coincidentally is also the home of the 8th gym leader, Wallace, and our next destination. There's also this secret islet around here that you can put a secret base in. I never knew about it until now, and I don't think this was in Ruby, Sapphire, or Emerald version. Once in Sootopolis City though, we learned that it was created because of a crater, as Sootopolis is sort of just in a mountain, and the sun is blaring from Groudon's disruptance. We're then given the Magma suit so we can track down Groudon in the depths of the Cave of Origin, the super ancient Pokemon. When we encounter it, we ride its back across some lava, feels pretty safe. Then we land where we take the suit off for some reason, even though there's a ton of lava around us, and see Groudon undergo Primal Reversion, which is totally not the same as Mega Evolution. We can catch it here, and the guide suggests using our Master Ball to ensure that we capture it or to weaken it and then throw Ultra Balls, but I accidentally just knock it out instead. It then says we could have saved and reset if we failed to capture it, which is one of the very few times I've ever seen a guide suggest you save and reset before legendary Pokemon. But I didn't save the game for quite a while, so I guess we can't use Groudon, unfortunately. I guess we have Mega Latios, so we don't need a giant ground-shaking lizard on top of that. But we do have to focus now on the Water-type gym and its gym leader, Wallace. The guide suggests healing items and Moo Milks, of course, again, as well as Electric-type Pokemon and Grass-type Pokemon for the Water-type foes. We have Pikachu, which is great here for its Electric-type attacks, and I also gave it Grass Knot to help sink the Wish Cache. Pikachu ends up falling though, but Gardevoir has Magical Leaf to help out a bit, and Mega Latios is, well, Mega Latios, so I send it out after Gardevoir goes down, getting the 8th and final gym badge in the Hoenn region. There's then quite a few optional things we can do from here, like explore some areas and catch some legendary Pokemon, which spans for about 30 or so pages. But the next big task in our way is to go to Evergrande City, then go through the Victory Road, challenge Elite Four, beat the champion, and then finally beat this game how Nintendo intended. The guide says to enjoy our stay in Evergrande City as it is a vibrant village. There's literally just one Pokemon Center here, and that's it. We then have to traverse through the Victory Road, and the guide has a map to follow it through that is coordinated by letters. This Victory Road is different from the one in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald version, but towards the end of it, we still have one last fight against Wally. Wally has come a long way, and so have his Pokemon. He has a Mega Gallade now, and the guide suggests a mixture of fighting, flying, and fairy type moves to dispatch his team in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. We have a fairy type Pokemon in Gardevoir and flying type Pokemon in Crobat, allowing us to defeat Wally and press on into the Pokemon League. This is a revered site that can only be visited by those trainers who have dominated every last Pokemon gym. We rest up our party, then check out the guide's recommended techniques. First is to examine our team with an expert eye, which many guides have said before, give our Pokemon some held items, stock up on medicine and revives, and also bring some X items to help out a bit, and finally use any last rare candies we might have laying around. Our final team is Swampert, Cosplay Pikachu, Crobat, Latios, Gardevoir, and Banette, which recently evolved into Victory Road. I also check out a couple of the move tutors that the guide recommended and move around some of our moves, more importantly so Gardevoir can have Moonblast now. I really like this team since towards the end I found myself using each Pokemon quite a lot as opposed to the start where I really just used Swampert for most of it. Gardevoir is especially great later on in this game as the very first Elite Four member Sydney specializes in dark type foes. The guide also warns us of his Pokemon going for the move Swagger to confuse us and how a full heal can cure that confusion while keeping the attack boost, but Gardevoir just one-shots his whole team with Moonblast. On to Phoebe, the Ghost-type Pokemon user who also has Banette, which we could honor battle. We scare up an easy victory against her with Dark and Ghost-type Pokemon moves though. I'm able to use our Banette for her lead Pokemon before ours falls, unfortunately before the honor battle. Then Mega Latios with Shadow Ball takes care of the rest of her team. I noticed she had a Dusknoir now too, and every Elite Four member except for Sydney has newer Pokemon that were released after Generation 3, which is pretty cool to see. Third up is Glacia, who has a couple of Frostlasses now, but we can melt her down with Fire, Rock, and Steel type moves. My Swampert has Rock Tomb to help out with this, and we rely on straightforward tactics as the guide suggests. Fourth up is Drake, the Dragon type Pokemon expert, which we can tame with Ice, Rock, Dragon, and Fairy type moves. The guide suggests Mega Latios for this one too, and to be aware of Flygon's screeches, but the combinations of Mega Latios and Gardevoir take care of Drake pretty easily, making Gardevoir the MVP of this Elite Four run so far. And finally, we have the champion, Steven Stone. He is the multi-type Pokemon user, and the guide has separate paragraphs for handling each of his Pokemon individually. For his Skarmory lead, I use Pikachu to Thunderbolt it, but his Aggron is a tough nut to crack, as the guide puts it. I use Mega Swampert to hit it for 400% damage with Earthquake, but it has the Sturdy ability. The guide makes no mention of the Sturdy ability, which was a bit weird, because it's said to take it down fast and hard, which you can't one-shot this Pokemon because of the Sturdy ability. So after a couple of turns and going through a full restore, he finally falls, then goes into Cradily. It doesn't really say much about how to handle Cradily offensively, other than just don't get confused or poisoned by it, so I take it out with Swampert, use Banette on his Claydol, then go back into Swampert for his Armaldo. All that's left now is Steven's ace, Mega Metagross. I know Swampert can take it out with an Earthquake, but we're at pretty low HP as Steven goes for a Giga Impact, which will definitely knock out Swampert. You guys know I love to take out the champion's Pokemon with my starter Pokemon, so I really don't want Swampert to fall, but we skillfully dodge the Giga Impact, go for Earthquake, knock out the Mega Metagross, and become the champion of the Hoenn region. There's also this random rival battle in the middle of the credits here we take care of pretty quickly, and now we finally beat Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire how Nintendo intended it. This was a lot of fun to do, and overall this guide was solid. No big mistakes really, a good amount of funny bits with how the guide was written, and it was well made overall. It has lots of extra information in the back and at the start of the guide. It does go on to cover all of the extra post-game bits like the Delta missions from here on too, which is pretty cool. It took me about a month to finish this one, which was a bit longer than any other Nintendo video I've made so far, even though it's been 3 months since the last one. Mainly because I started working on it right when Legends Arceus came out and was also playing that game a lot. I also streamed this playthrough live, but I'm going to start streaming on YouTube now instead of Twitch, so if you're watching this video the day it's uploaded, there's a pretty good chance I'm streaming right now on YouTube, so come check it out. I still have quite a few other Nintendo intended videos that I plan on making because I still have quite a few guides to go through. So let me know in the comments down below which game you want to see me tackle next. And also check out the Nintended playlist in the description to see all of the other games we've hammered away at so far, including a Zelda game even if you're into that. With all that out of the way, I want to thank you for watching. Hope you have a good rest of your day. I will see you all next time, and bye bye.